the Nana Addo government's reluctance to reshuffle government appointees. His comment comes days after the Professor Michael Quay Committee presented its report to the party, and an official comment from him after the party's defeat in last year's polls. Dr. Bawumia was speaking as part of the party's thank you tour in the Western region today.
So far, the big issues are one, cost of living. Niema bo e kosoro, ahochiri e bai. The kano eye adia yefreno arrogance of power. And it's say yasu na eyeti. Yasu eti yetie asem.
The big issues were cost of living, arrogance of power, which meant we did not pay heed to Ghanaians. Party members asked us to do reshuffling. For 8 years, we didn't listen. We were asked to abolish the e-levy, which we also refused to listen. Party members also asked us to avoid the debt restructuring program and haircuts, but we did not listen. We were not paying NAPCO, afforestation, and caterers. Most of the regions we had votes at, we didn't develop them, and roads and market centers were not completed.
Say, debt restructuring, a bit hard because most of them are pensioners. And from a penny announcing said there will be no haircut. Some okay. Done for in IEG. But a buyer, no, you may a haircut. Also, a buy ye tuya NAPCO view, la ye tuya afforestation for view, caterers so ye tuya. And also, regions they bring, said the General Secretary Kaya. Your votes no, do on war. Yan Juma they bring. Western region said the Okaya, Oko Jomora, Oko Valeria, Oko Mpohoa. So many places, they are fine. A problem. Market said, into me,
And that's the voice of Dr. Bawumia. He was the 2024 flag bearer of the NPP there. In a related development, a 2024 presidential aspirant of the opposition, the New Patriotic Party, Kennedy Japan, has called on the party to grant all suspended party executives amnesty. As part of its reconciliation and healing process, Kennedy Japan stresses that such a consideration is the surest way to enable the party unite to wrestle political power in 2028. Abraham Mensah has more here.
Kennedy Ejapong was addressing party members in Takoradi as part of the NPP's thank you tour in the Western region. He argued that the humiliating defeat the party suffered in the 2024 general elections could partly be attributed to the poor manner in which the party handled its disciplinary actions against some officers of the party. In his opinion, many of the suspended officials, such as Paul Afoko and Alan Chematin, must be recalled into the party, with the NPP wishes to unite and rebuild its political strength for the next election.
That is funded against itself. This is not the first time election at the everybody that has been suspended over amnesty. I will stand on behalf of the NPP party to apologize to everybody that NPP has offended.
The voice of Kennedy Japan ending that report there. Away from that to some other stories tonight, President of the Ghana Bar Association, Efua Gate, has called on members to spearhead the making of proposals on guidelines surrounding the formulation of rules of procedure for the impeachment of Article 71 office holders. She intimated that fronting these processes will ensure a fair measure of justice and prevent arbitrariness. Speaking at the media conference of the Ghana Bar Association, she noted that the timing of guidelines is paramount, especially since the country is being faced with an unprecedented event of the removal of the Chief Justice from office.
Are there any standards to be met in concluding that a prima facie case has been established? Having been informed as a country that petitions against the Chief Justice have been filed, you are repeatedly asked, at what point in time does the country get to know the contents of the petition? What if the petitions are frivolous, but steps have been taken which may impugn the reputation of the person against whom the petitions have been filed? Assuming that there is a hearing, how long should the hearing be? Can the Chief Justice elect to have the proceedings heard in public instead of in camera? And many more such questions. This process is a novel one in our history as a country, and we, the bar, must continue to monitor the situation and not hesitate to express our opinion on it where the circumstances demand.
That's the voice of Mrs. Ifua Gate speaking there. She is the president of the Ghana Bar Association. Let's do some other stories, because Ghanaian students studying in Hungary are facing a severe financial crisis with months of unpaid stipends. The students say this persistent financial neglect has resulted in a crisis that jeopardizes their education, well-being and future chances. A report by Judith Brown.
For 11 whole months, students studying in Hungary have not received their stipends. Book allowances have also delayed for the past 2 years. And with little to no jobs available, most students are at a crossroads.
This has caused a lot of financial hardship to our students, to the extent that some students face evictions from their hostels and apartments because they cannot afford accommodation. We, the executives, have to go to the extent of accommodating some of these students for a while, and then later find some solution for them. But as you can see, we ourselves are also facing the same financial situation, but cannot help in that much.
I'm not able to focus on my academics, and it's having a toll on my mental health. Accommodation here is really expensive. The hike of prices of food, for me to get the basic needs, is one challenge or the other.
The delayed stipend payments have made it nearly impossible for many students to cater for expenses as basic as food and utilities. And with rent costs almost triple the cost of rent allowances received from the Hungarian government, many now find themselves in a state of uncertainty and at serious risk of homelessness.
Most of the schools here in Hungary, when you are coming, most are not able to get accommodation for students. Students end up going to rent outside. If you are supposed to rent outside, most of the places cost much more, sometimes 3 times the amount the government give us. The 40,000 we get from the Hungarian government is something very small, because most often are not, we have to pay 3 times the amount that we get.
According to the students, several engagements with previous government officials yielded no results, putting them in severe financial distress, academic challenges, and psychological strain.
Students are not able to feed. Sometimes we go to the hospital. You know, when we are coming here, we get insurance. But the insurance we get here is almost like the insurance we have in Ghana, the NHIS. The insurance covers, I've been to the hospital. I came here, I've been to the hospital like 4 times. But the insurance we have here covers like only consultation. You have to pay for all the medicines you buy.
We urge the government of Ghana to prioritize the release of 11 months outstanding stipends and 2 years book allowance payments to ensure students can meet their basic needs and continue their education without further interruptions.
We reached out to officials at the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat who are in charge of these disbursements. Although they did not speak on record, they explained they are in talks with the Hungarian government and students studying in Hungary to rectify the situation. They say allocations will soon be made to the students. This is a worrying trend across other countries where Ghanaian students under government scholarship are left stranded, either having one or the other of their fees not being paid. It begs the question as to whether the Scholarship Secretariat really has the means to fund the scholarships they grant. Judith Brown.
That's a report by my colleague Judith Brown there. Away from that, investigative journalist Manasseh Azure Awuni is suggesting a case of state capture. While speaking on Ghana Tonight, he alleged that both sides of the political divide have been compromised, citing past deals that, in his view, failed to serve the public interest.
It appears there is some state capture of a sort. In South Africa, they investigated the Guptas for state capture. It appears this is what is happening with ZOOMLION. Because as we speak, whilst the hospitals are struggling, hundreds of millions are paid from health insurance levy to ZOOMLION for fumigation. The District Assembly's Common Fund pays for fumigation. Then there's a third fumigation contract that I discovered that the Ministry of Local Government awards every year. And they often give reasons for awarding it. In 2020 and 2021, they said COVID-19, but it used to be cholera. So these things are happening. And I have spoken to some people within the government, NDC, MPP, and when you speak to them off the record, they will tell you how ZOOMLION is a problem, but they cannot deal with it. It is often from the very top. I did an investigation that resulted in the cancellation of a $74 million contract. It was very fraudulent. We didn't need a contract, and it was highly overinflated. Then, during the investigation, I realized that the order to sign the contract came from the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President.
That's the voice of investigative journalist Manasseh Azure Awuni, Chief Corporate Communications Officer at the Jospon Group of Companies, Sophia Kujoji, who also spoke on Ghana Tonight, insisted that the amount paid by the company is determined by the contracts.
In the contract, it is not ZOOMLION that is determining how much the workers are paid. And Manasseh, who is the master of the contract, knows that. ZOOMLION does not. Let me repeat that again. ZOOMLION does not determine how much the workers are paid. He knows it. It's in the contract. The contract stipulates how the people are to be engaged, how much is involved, and how much goes to who and for what. He knows it. ZOOMLION, Manasseh would have it. He has all the information. Even board information, he has it.
That's the voice of Sophia Kujoji there. Well, as the rainy season draws near, anxiety is rising among residents of the Shama municipality in the western region. They fear the devastating impact of floods and landslides. A report by Stephen Kujo.
Shama Beach Road, a suburb of Shama within the Shama municipality. This community is no stranger to flooding. Whenever it rains, gutters quickly overflow as the roads turn into river. Whenever it rains, residents have two options: either to are compelled to leave their homes or are to stay behind to protect their properties by fighting the rising waters as the entire area is submerged. Now with the rains coming in, fear is creeping back in as residents are unsure what the next downpour will cause.
When I was in level 100, I experienced flood issues in my area where my laptop, my mother's store all got flooded. Yeah, so other people also had same experience. And so I think that was 2018, and so now we've not found any solutions to it.
Whenever it rains, not just Beach Road get flooded, but also communities like in Chaban, Shama, Kumasi, Beposo, and in Kwanta Kasedo get submerged.
Stephen Kujo with that report there. That's how we wrap up on the evening news here on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Nobel Crosby Annan. Please log on for more. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.